a presentation about the electric cooking, or the overall modern energy cooking. The session will be focused on that how we can actually enable the cooking in India, and that's why we have started the concept of talk. This talk series is going to happen in various areas, which I will be talking in details. So let me put my screen on presentation mode. Yeah, hope my screen is visible. So, yeah. So we are a modern energy cooking services program. It is a FCDO funded program led by the Lucknow University, which Nick is going to talk more about the program, and Ed is also there. We are fortunate enough to hear them, Ed. But I will be taking care of mostly on the India session. What is this means for India? How it is actually progressing. So as we know that World Bank has recently published a paper which saying that $2.4 trillion is the economic opportunity annually for the non-clean cooking fuel. So this is the very big financial loss which we are facing. And in India, this also a equally bad situation. 4 million people are dying every year globally. And India has this data is 4,87,000. So this is the data which the World Bank has given to us, and 4 billion people don't have access of clean cooking. MECS is a UK-aid FCDO funded program to support and invest in clean cooking alternative to achieve the transition from biomass to clean cooking. This program is pioneer in e-cooking worldwide with the active interventions in over 15 African and Southeast Asian countries. And Finovista, as you know, the in-country partner for the MECS program in India. What actually MECS program means to India, and how we have actually developed this India as a strategy. So we say that to transition from biomass to clean cooking, you will require to have the huge landscape, and when you have the landscape, you require to bring all the stakeholders together. To doing that, we are supporting the manufacturers as a first category. To provide the support to the manufacturers, we require to partner with various agencies, which we have partnered and we are working together. And what kind of support we can provide? So innovation is, of course, the first priority to promote, considering that device require a lot of innovation. Pilot and demonstration supports we provide. Policy we are providing. Skill-up supports we are providing. We do a lot of ecosystem mapping, outreach and promotion, knowledge sharing, and visit and delegation. And in the manufacturers, of course, whatever supports like user development, which we are doing, opportunity creations, market access, intermediaries, access to finance, access to technology. Today's this current talk series is also going to more over a culmination of everything. And of course, the partner we require to work with the government, non-government organization, Indian agency, UK agency, exports, implementation agency, etc., including high commissions. Recent activity is actually going really good, and we have partnered with the CII in December 2020 to organize a clean cooking session separately. There we had a very good representation from various ministry. The two senior most people from the MNRA and EPI was the speaker, and they have given their own perspective about the clean cooking, what does it mean for India. We are fortunate about to hear the UFLA, who is our global lead awardee for this year. So I request Yash to talk about when during this session. We have partnered with the BIRAC for supporting the BIRAC Innovation Challenge Award, though this is not flight off because of the financial reasons or not. But this was one of the good success where the first time government has actually talked about the supporting the clean cooking. So in a mostly clean cooking innovation program, this was never the agenda which we are pushing to the government for long time. MECS has conducted mini survey on the mega kitchen. We try to map how the mega kitchen works in India and what kind of cook they're cooking and what are the energy they are using. This report is available with us. We have did the request to thank you. A study on the compatibility and acceptability of electric pressure cooker in India. And MECS has conducted a desk-based research, explored the Indian food culture and habit. We have run the test pilot of 20 staple and popular food in India. We are also going to talk about this. India is looking as a global hub for device manufacturing. So we are actually trying to map our program country. 5 countries which we have already mapped and developed a report which we are seeing that how we can push the Indian company to the markets. Nepal, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Kenya, and Rwanda, we have already did that. The another important point that we all know that national electricity policy is actually asked for the comments. And in this entire policy, electric cooking was not an agenda. Though the government has talked about that go electric campaign and they're talking about EV and electric cooking, we have recommended our comment on that adding the electric cooking for that agenda. So spoken to the Ministry of Issues, hoping that they will be accepting our recommendation. And they have promised us that they will be putting to the committee and committee to decide. This is the overall landscape of the clean cooking in India. The first part I have already spoken, and then it is also important for the greenhouse gas perspective. 4% of the GHG coming from the cooking. And if you see this, the data is old, but this we have to rely on this data because it's a survey data. With 67% people still rely on the biomass. LPG is another 28%. And India is also tried very hard to come in a clean cooking. And Prime Minister Ujjwala Yojana is the good initiative. We have provided 8 crores or 80 million connection to the BPL, the below poverty line household covered in 2020, and they're talking about another 10 million. The challenge is here that 55% of the LPG is imported, and government have to provide additionally subsidy support. The LPG consumption is increasing by 56% annually, which is a big deterrent. And electricity is actually in all directions been very good scenario. So India is an electricity surplus nation now. We have a zero reliant on the modern energy. If we add electric cooking, it will be a good boost. India is the only outlier in the developed nation where we are not promoting the electric cooking. Several ministries, several departments is actually talking about clean cooking, and Ministry of Power is talking about the National Mission of electric cooking. National Mission of clean cooking is going on. Next Mission of solar cooking is going on. So a lot of discussion is going on in the ministry. The important point, this slide is also very important for everybody. So in India, so people have the monthly income of 5,000 rupees, which is a 50 pound. 74% of the rural household ready to spend 391 rupees per month. And the people have a monthly income of 2,500 rupees Indian currency. 59% of the household ready to pay some amount of a cost for electric fuel. For the cooking fuel. So this is the data released by the Ministry of Petroleum and Gas in association with the CRISIL. So this data is to the 2018 data, but still it's valid. Niti Aayog in the energy security scenario, they have pushed that electricity cooking is going in a big way, which we have talked already. So I'm not talking to. This is our ESMAP World Bank MECS program has actually conducted a study, and we found that single solution is not viable. And we have did the five concurrent mapping. So we said that sometime it required to mix electricity, gas. Sometime it's required to have LPG together, EPC induction and all, which require in a multiple combination. And we also agree in India that it's not one solution fit for all. So we require to have the multiple fuel, possibly the EPC electric devices or gas And as per that studies, we realized that the modern energy is going to be cheaper, and at some point of time, it is going to be even cheaper than the current sources of biomass. Uh, I will not talk too much on this. This is another important slide. The India has a 383 gigawatts of electricity. And in this 383 gigawatts of installed capacity, that's the latest data, 61% is coming from the thermal. The good part is that thermal is regularly reducing. Last quarter, it was 62%. And if you see this renewable energy sources is keep increasing. So means our electricity is still not 100% dirty fuel. So it is also coming from the renewable sources, and government has already committed that 40% of the installed capacity is going to come from the non-fossil. It's also under discussion. It's going to be 60%. So this is the another opportunity for the in this area. Then government recently has come out with a charter to provide 24/7 power supply in uninterrupted power supply. So this is the another opportunity where the government is taking the responsibility to provide the electricity, and the total supply in the last month, in the April month data was just 118 gigawatts. So see, the data is that installed capacity is 383. Total supply is 118 and the peak load is 182. Is still, even if the peak load we are very less, and though the data is improved over last year, but still we have long way to go. Electric cooking is of course fit in the most advanced cooking. It is affordable, it is available, it's convenient, safe, emission and efficacy wise. It's actually a wonderful device. And why electric cooking is important for India? So 48 to 72 billion units is expected to consume by e-cooking in 2030. And the household air pollution is actually increasing, and 4% GHG is coming from this area. This is the current range of devices coming in the electric cooking, and electric cooking is the nowadays, or the overall modern energy cooking is coming in a big way. So these are the three devices which already saw for a long time. These are the new devices which actually talking about that combination of EPC, combination of induction, combination of solar cooker. But of course, when we are adding more and more devices costing more and more, so we have to also be sensitive enough to how much a user can pay. Electric pressure cooker, as per our research, is the best fit device in this area, considering the EPC consists of hot plate, insulation, pressure cooker, and automatic controller. That's why it's very efficient. If I talk about the EPC market in India, when we started our program in December 19, only 5 or 6 brands were available. Now over 20 brands are available in a market. So all the big names operating in India are in this area. This comes in aluminum and steel body. 700 to 50,000 watts is a typical size in 3 to 6 liter. 4 to 10,000 rupees are the devices cost in the retail price. And we are expecting that when the mass volume will be there, so cost will further go down. The rice cooker is another popular electric device, which actually comes in aluminum and steel body. The typical range is very low, 4 to 10,000, and cost is also very less. But everything can't be cooked here, and all the big brands are operating in this space. Induction is induction cooker is a very popular device in India. Though there the challenge is there, it comes in a very heavy wattage. So most of the good devices come in 1800 to 2300 watts, and the cost is very comparative. But you require the additional utensils to cook, and all the big brands are available. You can find these devices online, offline easily. And challenges in the other cooking is, of course, we know that firewood and the biomass is not sustainable. When we talk about the firewood, it has a big challenge that 23% of the forest is non-sustainable, and of course, it can't be available in the urban setup and all. We have a big population living, a big pool of people living in urban. This is our finding that in electric pressure cooker, we did some cooking, and we realized that it can be suitable for all means. It is convenient, and it can cook most of the devices, which Ufla is also going to talk about. So I'll not take too much time. This is the recent development. So we are not only we are talking about electric cooking, now the government and everybody is talking about electric cooking. We have did a lot of research in this area. The minister himself talking about to promote the electric cooking. And this is the comparative analysis. Cost is very low. You can have the any type of cook. This is the normal Indian household cook. So khichdi, dalia, potato boiling, dry vegetable, chana, gravy. You can cook any gravy item, pulao, all types of pulses you can cook. Idli dosa is the another area. So you see the most of the cooking can be done. And the institutional cooking is also possible. So I will not take too much time on this. And thank you for patiently listening my presentation. Thank you. And with this, I pass my mic to Ed. Hope I'm not very late.
Vimal, that's incredibly detailed overview of the current situation and the growth of interest in e-cooking in India. So thank you very much. I hope you're going to make the slides available to colleagues, because I think if they were like me, they would have been struggling in some ways to keep up with the depth of information that you were providing there. We've been delighted to work with Vimal and his colleagues, and you can see my colleague Nick on here as well, who will also be joining the discussion, has been very much leading alongside Vimal in this work. My name, as Vimal said, is Ed Brown. I'm Professor of Global Energy Challenges at Loughborough University in the UK, and the overall lead of the MECS programme. I just wanted to say really a very few words here. One is that I think it's really important that the broader team was able to join the discussion today. Unfortunately, I do have to run off immediately after having done this, because I did have another prior commitment, but I wanted to make sure. I think the other thing to say is the growth of interest in electric cooking has been really rapid. 3 years ago, when we began this program, we had at that point been thinking about electric cooking for maybe a couple of years, and at that point, when we spoke to most people around the prospects for electric cooking in Africa and Asia, their immediate reaction was, "You're mad. You know, this is something that is too expensive. There were too many interruptions in supply, and so on and so forth." I think what Vimal has shown in terms of going through this whole series of initiatives in relation to this is that the myth that electricity is too expensive for cooking has gradually begun to be revealed over the course of the last few years. And that's due to a number of different factors. And I just wanted to just kind of mention a few of those here. And really, this is pulling out what Vimal has already said. The first of which is that we have, for the first time, undertaken really detailed studies around the cost effectiveness of cooking with electricity in different countries, in different contexts, with different cuisines and so on and so forth. And I think Vimal noted a number of the publications on this, but one I draw your attention to is the one that Vimal mentioned, which is where we've done a collaborative study with ESMAP of the World Bank. It's called Cooking and Electricity, a Cost Perspective. And it is looking specifically at the situation now and the situation a couple of years down the line in terms of the competitiveness of cooking on grid and the competitiveness of opportunities for cooking off grid. And there are some real opportunities here where cooking with electricity is emerging as at least price competitive with cooking on biomass and LPG, and in many cases beginning to be significantly lower in cost than cooking on those alternatives. The second point, I think, which Vimal illustrated extremely well, is that when we started talking about electric cooking a few years ago, most people's understanding of what that meant was your basic cheap hot plate or a really large kind of scale oven with hot plates on the top of it. What is emerging at the moment is that there are some real opportunities to gain much more efficient approaches towards cooking with electricity. The EPC, which Vimal has talked about quite extensively, is the ultimate example of that. But induction stoves, electric pressure cookers, much more insulated pots, a whole range of different opportunities to make cooking with electricity even more efficient than it currently is. And I can also see one of the interesting that AJ has just put into the chat is around the importance of the flavor of food. And we've also been doing some really detailed work at that level as well, in terms of what is acceptable for people. What ways will people change the way in which they cook if it becomes more convenient, or if it becomes cheaper, or a whole range of different interactions. And one of the things we've picked up is often there's a lot of assumptions about people's behavior, but it's not until you actually engage with people around what are the opportunities to do things in different ways that you begin to see real opportunities where it was judged before that those opportunities were not there. The fourth point I wanted to make is clean cooking is often referred to as the poor cousin of electrification. So when we talk about energy access, a lot of the attention goes on electrification. Most of the expenditure goes on electrification. So I was involved in the coordinating group for the Energising Finance report by SE for All for the last 2 years. And one of the things we picked up there was an excitement that the amount of investment in clean cooking had increased from about 40 million to about 80 million over the course of the last couple of years, which you look at that, it's a really quite significant increase. However, when you look at the estimates by the IEA of how much investment we need, then it's a drop in the ocean. However, if you look at the overall investment in electrification, those levels for Africa alone are something like 18 billion a year. So I think that's a really important other component of this discussion, is that if just a small portion of the electrification investment was spent in making sure that the grid was effective and able to support electric cooking, then it dwarfs the amount of funding that's available specifically for clean cooking. So if we see cooking with electricity as part of the overall makeup of what can be done through electrification, then I think there's a really interesting other alternative component of this. Finally, we mentioned right at the end of Vimal's talk the opportunities for adopting a much cleaner in terms of carbon approach to cooking. Sometimes we're guilty of thinking about clean cooking in a very short-term perspective. For obvious reasons, we want to see significant increases in the numbers of people that have access to clean cooking. However, we are in a world that is changing rapidly, and in a world where the commitment to decarbonisation is accelerating. We had the COP coming up in the UK later on this year, but we can also see that without recognising the rapidity of change that's going to occur, we won't be making the right investment decisions now. So we need not only to think about the makeup of our production and generation systems now, we also need to think about what they're going to look like in 10 or 15 years' time. So if we're thinking about carbon in terms of our strategies for dealing with the clean cooking challenge, then we need to be looking at that in terms of LPG as a transition fuel, which is far, far more effective in its use of carbon than the biomass approaches that we currently take, but also with electricity. At the moment, 40%, possibly 60% coming from clean sources. 10 years down the line, that will be a lot higher. So if we're looking at long-term investment into really clean solutions, then clearly electricity has to be part of that long-term planning process, and that long-term planning process needs to begin now. So they were just some reflections on some of the issues that Vimal has raised. I think it's massively exciting, the opportunities that there are for really being an instigator and an innovator in this space. India has so many advantages in that regard, and we're really looking forward to working with our Indian colleagues in helping to make this a reality as we move forward. So Vimal, thank you so much for the opportunity to contribute to this discussion. I'm really sorry that I have to leave now, But thank you so much, and I really hope that you have a really successful and exciting discussion around these issues over the coming minutes. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed, for your inaugural remark. Indeed, it's a very useful. Of course, that our Indian colleagues will be very insightful to hear you, and we're hoping to have you more in the future talk series also. Thank you. Yeah, with this, we like to move to the next session, and would like to invite Dr. Nick to moderate the session on the talk on clean cooking. So I request the other panelists, Yash and Vishaka, to switch on their video. Okay. Thank you. Over to Nick.
Thank you, Vimal. Can you hear me okay? Great, yes. Thank you. Okay, so Vimal and Ed have set the scene. We're looking very widely at how to support the transition towards clean cooking. And today's seminar is going to give us a chance to hear about some very concrete initiatives which are very successfully doing that in India and demonstrate what India can achieve both domestically and potentially then also for wider markets. I should say also that I think Ed's already acknowledged that we are very pleased with the program in India that Finovista has established. They are an amazing group and have been very energetic and successful in making connections across the ecosystem. And it's really exciting for us to be working with India at this point when you as a country are on your journey towards cleaner cooking and really are grasping those benefits and the opportunities that come with that. And it's been a privilege to work with Vimal and to meet the people that he's been able to introduce us to understand how we can work together to save lives, to achieve economic opportunities and improve the environmental impact. All of these things which can come from shifting to cooking with electricity in India. So this series of webinars, just briefly, is alongside a parallel series that I'm organizing, looking at examples from all over the world of people who are looking to develop successful businesses around providing clean cooking solutions. And we've got two coming up shortly on promoting clean cooking to consumers and on consumer finance. So that might be of interest to those on this session as well. But today I'm going to introduce two panelists who are developing very different approaches to clean cooking solutions. It illustrates how broad this area is. So Ofla has developed a range of award-winning electric pressure cookers, which are very energy efficient. And as we've already said, energy efficiency is one of the keys to helping people to understand the benefits. And they recently won the Energy Prize as part of the Global Leap Award for electric pressure cookers, which MECS has funded and has now produced a buyer's guide, which is generating a lot of interest across the developing world. And then we're going to hear from Ojabox, who is developing service models that provide households with cooking device options to help them select and to give the women who do the hands-on work of cooking the opportunity to really experience these directly. So I'm going to be hearing from Yash and Vishaka, and then we're going to have a chance to have some questions. And I notice there's already been quite a lot of dialogue in the chat box. So first to Yash, can you briefly introduce Ofla and describe your products and what you see as their main strengths?
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Nick. So hi, this is Yash here. I'm the founder of Ofla. So we have recently participated in a global award competition which has been conducted all over the world by Next and Class. So in that, our cooker has been identified as the best energy performance category cooker all over the world. So I'll tell you the energy performance and quickly take you through what we are doing exactly. So I was just reading the messages, what people had, that they had doubt that if you make the lunch or dinner, that consumes more electricity. So I'd like to tell you that you won't consume any much electricity compared to gas. So I'll just share my PPT. What I have done is just that.
Okay, we can see that. Thank you.
So can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that, if you see this, the electricity consumption, which our cooker, the Ofla Smart Cooker, which is the electricity consumption is just 1 unit for 3 hours of cooking. That is 7 to 8 rupees in Indian rupees. That is an INR. If you buy a gas cylinder, which is a 14 kg, 14.2 kgs to be accurate, if you use that for 3 hours of cooking, it consumes 1 kg of your consumption, which is 61 rupees. And if you say LPG, there are many companies like MNG, etc. If you take their example, if you take their connection for 3 hours, it will consume same as 1 kg, but the rate is 56.60. So overall, accordingly, if you see that our electric cooker is much, I mean, energy efficient.
Thank
So
you.
our electric cooker is much energy efficient. And what we are doing is we are developing this with the quality. That is much important thing. What I would like to do, that in India, what happened is, if we took out the survey, according to survey, that there are many incidents of cooker blasts or anything happening in the Indian households. So we want to minimize that, and what we have come up with this model as, this is the best energy performance cooker, because what we have done is the outer body which comes, any other company, you take any company, it just gives you a thickness of 0.3 mm. We are giving that of 0.6 mm. That is directly double. So on the consumer point of view, we are not keeping anything like that the person will face any problem or anything. Plus, if you come to the service part of our cooker, so till now we have been selling this in India from last 2 years, and the service, we haven't received any single service complaint till now. And we have been
That's
now we are now manufacturing that cooker in India. So we are the first manufacturer in India to make this cooker here itself. And we are going, I mean, we are with the next program and everything, and now we are even going to export that sooner.
great. Thank you. Oh, that's really exciting. And I think it's a testimony to what you've done, that you've produced something which is on our independent tests against a whole range of other models, have come out as a world leader and got that prize. So congratulations on that. And we continue to work with you to open up new market opportunities. But I want to talk about the future, but let's first of all hear about Vishaka and OrderBox and your work. Vishaka.
Thank you, Nick, and thanks, Yash. I'll just put up my presentation. So is my presentation audible?
I can see you now, yeah. Can we invite others to go on mute so that we can make sure we can hear Vishaka? There seems to be some background noise. Thank you. Okay, yes.
Right. So I'm presenting OrderBox here. We have set up 3 services. Mainly, we are going to set up clean cooking demonstration stations, mainly because the main reason we find why people are not adopting clean cooking devices in semi-urban and rural areas is that they cannot see many people using that. So unless I see someone using it, I will not adopt it. So that is main behavioral hurdle that we see in rural and semi-urban areas. So to motivate people to use more and more clean cooking devices, we will be setting up clean cooking stations in educational institutes, offices, hostels, wherever the opportunity is. And those will serve as small snack corners or tea stalls kind of thing, which will demonstrate all available clean cooking devices, and people can choose from a variety of clean cooking devices wherever in the energy ladder they stand, whatever they can afford and whatever fits into their daily schedule. They can choose those clean cooking devices, and with variety, slowly people will get motivated to use more and more clean cooking devices. That's the idea behind setting up the clean cooking stations. Secondly, if you want to promote clean cooking devices as livelihood sources, just to give an example of using solar cookers for processing food, maybe making jams, pickles, or cakes and biscuits. So that will definitely increase the adoption in rural areas, because they will not only be demonstrated as cooking devices, but something that will also give livelihood to rural women. And third is, we want to set up clean cook stove shops, which will be called as Urjaksham, which is energy enabled, wherein they will be end-to-end solutions for the end users, where people can buy clean cook stoves and choose from a variety of clean cook stoves. They will also serve as a repair and maintenance station, because most of the clean cooking devices people don't buy because they are more concerned that if something fails out of goes out of operation, then where shall we go for repairing and maintenance, and how much it will cost, how long it will take. And that is why they stack up fuels, or they are a little averse to using clean cook stoves, just because they do not have enough hand holding to give them confidence about the sustainability and reliability of clean cook stoves. And stove shops will definitely be useful in further enhancing the usability of clean cooking devices, and they will be backed up with innovative financial schemes as well, because finance is another hurdle in adoption of clean cook stoves. So these are the three areas where we are trying to provide some innovation in services, because there is more focus on designing new devices, but the service side is definitely a larger, weaker element in promotion of clean cooking. That is what we have realized. So we have done some extensive ground survey, and we realized that this is generally the fuel stacking pattern, where which is clearly visible on ground, where rural poor will generally be using firewood, dung cakes, charcoal, kerosene, which has reduced a lot, and LPG has been introduced, but LPG is used very sparingly. Again, firewood is used mainly for water heating in many Indian homes. So if we are just talking about cooking or indoor pollution, then even if people cook on LPG, they will heat water using firewood or using dung cakes for a longer time. So that is something which needs to be taken into consideration. And we have seen that the usage of renewable energy fuels is mainly in urban affluent areas, because they are more aware about it, and they can afford to have a cleaner stack. So what we really have to aim initially is to kind of improve the cleanliness of this stack, what they are using, maybe eliminating one by one the unclean fuel. Biochar is a very good source, carbon neutral source of briquettes, and by the way of briquettes and pelleting. But again, the quantity of briquetting and letting of biomass or agricultural waste is very less or very minimum. Electricity, which obviously seems to be a very promising future, but again the awareness and is very low, and it is very difficult to convince people about the taste, flavor, timing, all of those things, and only demonstration perhaps is the way out to for a swifter transition. And with the interactions, yeah, this is what we have come out with. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely. There's nothing more powerful than having a chance to see something, and even to smell it and to taste the experience. As you say, people are not familiar in some of these places with these devices. I'm looking at the chat. There's a lot of discussion going on about what kinds of dishes can be cooked in an electric pressure cooker or in other devices, and there's certainly scope for innovation. Many electric pressure cookers now can be combined with an air fryer, and that provides a different way of cooking that complements the electric pressure cooker, and we're seeing that growing in interest in Africa. But certainly, the research has to look at people's actual cooking needs and make sure that they are reflected. And that's where Vimal and his team are trying to understand that and seeing where electric pressure cookers or other devices can have strengths. And of course, India has many similarities to other countries in Southeast Asia with some of the dishes. And if we can get the right products developed in India for Indian cooking, then that has huge potential market opportunities overseas as well. So I'm seeing lots of queries. I guess there's a question about the kind of viability of electric cooking. But I think across India now, electricity access is growing rapidly. But the quality of the electricity continues to vary. And so we're looking at, as Ed was saying, solutions which include other fuels and potentially also energy storage options. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to raise about the future? I think the world is changing, and there are definitely challenges right now. But I think there's our analysis is showing that there are many parts of the world that are ready now to move to electric cooking because they have electricity, and the cost of the alternatives is very much more visible. Just keen for anyone who wants to raise their hand and to ask a question to the panel. If you can use the little device on the team thing where you can put your hand up, be happy to take a question and have a discussion about that. Yash, if people think about their questions, I mean, what sort of demand are you seeing for your products in India? Are they selling well?
Can I just pardon your question? Actually, didn't hear you.
What sort of demand are you seeing? Are you being successful in selling your products?
So I'd like to tell you that, I mean, we are totally, you can see that even our website, we are totally running out of stock because the demand is continuously increasing, and what quality we are offering at what price point. So people have now known that if you take a 10,000 cooker and if you take a 5,000 cooker, people here have inferiority that if I take a low range cooker, so it will come with a low quality. But no, our motto is mainly that so everyone should afford it and everyone should use it. That is our main motto to make this. So at this price point, we are selling so that we are getting a good demand. I mean, even from Amazon and even from our own website.
Great, good. Okay, and hopefully that will enable you to scale up production. I know that we're talking to ESL and other bodies around bulk procurement of cooking devices that will help to enable the price to drop further. And we're certainly interested in different models of enabling users to spread the cost. Vishaka, can you say a bit more about your experience of demonstrating cooking devices to women in different contexts? And how do they understand the cost of, if they're looking at an electric device, it's not always clear how much is being saved. They've got a pile of fuel and they can see how that is being used. How do you help people to see that the savings that they can make and the other benefits?
The demonstrations which we conduct are generally in 3 stages. First stage is where we introduce the devices. That itself is the first hurdle, that people have not seen a variety of cooking devices. Like many people have not seen electricity being used as a cooking device, or biogas for that matter, or even solar. So we have around 9 types of solar cookers. But in rural areas, especially, most people have not seen any solar cooking device. So the first thing is they get to see the devices. Second step is they get to see how it cooks. So that is the next question, that whether it really cooks and how it tastes, what is the taste of the food, and how long it takes or how quicker it takes, what are the advantages, disadvantages of that, what is the space that the device will take. And then they come to the costing of it. So what we have found out, that if we try to tell them the base price, they generally compare these days with LPG, because that is the fuel that they consider to be the costliest fuel, which is around 900 rupees per bottle. So so they compare to LPGs, that if we are using LPG say for 3 months, because they use LPG sparingly just for making one meal or just for making rotis, and everything else is done on some other cooking device. So they try to compare it with that. So we are spending, so the annual spend, monthly spending is somewhere around 1,000 rupees for 600 to 1,000 rupees for cooking fuel. So if that is reduced by even say 100 or 150 rupees, they're happy to consider buying a new device. We have not come across anyone asking for any subsidy or scheme from government. That is one very promising thing, that so if they can clearly see that there is a reduction of effort and reduction of cost which is going directly from their pocket, they are happy to buy. But they are looking at financing schemes like say EMIs, or buying it through if they procure it in bulk quantity, what will be the cost advantage that they will get. And repair and maintenance, that is a major concern that they have, that if this device fails, how efficiently will it be repaired, and what will be the repair cost, whether they will have to throw the entire device away or and buy a new one, because then that disturbs the whole cost economics totally.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see that. And I think we've heard that from previous studies when people were offered Philips hot induction stoves. There was a study that Terry carried out, I believe, where they were given these Philips induction stoves and they used them for a period of time. But after a while, something happened and they would go wrong. And there wasn't any backup. And they would then move to more of a generic product because there was service and support there. And Yash, can I ask you, are you offering backup or maintenance, or are your products long lasting? What's your response to the need for people to have long life for their devices?
So if you buy a device, it actually it will go till at least 5 years. So we are making with such a quality that it goes with good quality, and people should not think that this device is not working now. It's been only 1 year or 2 years or something like that. So we are giving it that quality that it should go around till 5 years, more than five, and but nothing no less than 5 years. And
Okay,
even
well,
the maintenance part, what I am telling you is, as I told you, that there are no service till now. I mean, there was no service request till now. So for the
Okay.
maintenance, what we have done is we have typed with different partners. So if there is no person available, there will be a home pickup and there will be home maintenance.
Okay, that's good to know. Vimal, you put your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Nika. I have one question from Vishakha. So Vishakha, you mentioned that your third point is that you are also going to provide the services to the devices. So what will be your model? So are you going to provide services to any devices, which is a cooking device? And you are planning to have your centers across India, right? As per the business model.
Yes, we are planning to set up these clean cook stove shops, which will serve as the repair and maintenance centers also. So any device which people have which is not working, they can just register with the center, and within a stipulated time, we can get back to them and tell them whether it is repairable, not repairable, and what would be the maintenance cost and everything. So right now we are trying to find out what kind of failures are there, with how much of them are repairable. And because from the usage perspective also, what I've seen is that especially with electrical devices, if the voltage fluctuates, which it normally does in rural areas, it affects the performance very badly of any electrical devices, be it refrigerators or TVs or whatever. And as we know that power supply is there, but power quality is a very major concern in most of the areas. So you will have voltage, even frequency much lower than the rated frequency. So we see that the performance does get affected with that. Similarly with LPG gas stoves and all, if women are not, or anyone who cooks is not trained on how to use that devices, we find that there are more requests for repair and maintenance where the burner is not working properly, and then there are chances of accidents because of that. Even as Yash mentioned, the pressure cooker accidents are also mainly due to because people are not aware of the safety measures that they have to follow when they are using such devices. So, we want to promote the clean cook stove shops as a holistic approach to address all of these issues. Not
Thank you.
just
Sorry. No, that's really good to know. And I'm conscious that you work with Somerset Envirotech. They were your partner in this work, and I was very impressed when we came out to India and we met the leader of that. And she developed this approach to helping communities to select the device which reflects their preferences. And I have developed something similar based on the MECS research around the world, because there are so many factors which determine the right device for the right family. And as you say, how they can get trained, the skills that they've got, the education level, their preferences, it's a very personal thing, cooking. And it's great that we can offer people different options. And I think that is important, that people feel that they can continue to do what's important for them as we go forward. And are you seeing, Vishaka, kind of maybe in a village or in a community that maybe one or two people are the ones that start off accepting the new devices, and then because they do it, other people learn from them and follow their lead? Does that kind of model work where there's early adopters?
Yes, that generally is the case where maybe one or two families will start using, and they will kind of be the point of promotion for others to adopt the cooking devices, and they will kind of have an interaction between them. But it usually happens in closer networks. So like the family's closer network will kind of pick up on those things. But also there are some barriers regarding this. I personally have experience regarding solar cooking. So in my family, there are members who like that I use solar devices for cooking, but they themselves think that, oh, it is too much of work, so we will not adopt that. But it takes time. I mean, yeah.
Sure. And the other model that we've seen in Kenya, there's an organization called Bida Sasa, and they work with women's groups. So they will go and arrange a meeting with a group of women that are supporting each other within a village, and they will demonstrate like an electric pressure cooker to them. And then the group will buy, if there's 10 women in the group, they will buy 10 pressure cookers, but they buy them in sequence. So they all club together to buy the first one. And so one of the women gets the first pressure cooker, then they all club together to buy the second one. So they don't have to take out a loan, they don't have to be involved in the cost of microfinance. But over 10 months, maybe, they each will have an EPC. And that kind of collective approach seems very, very productive.
Yeah, I think something like that. As I said, there has to be some innovative models around financing and incentivizing clean cooking.
Yeah.
So unless there are some incentives, whatever it is, maybe social or cultural or money wise, there have to be some incentives for earlier adoption of clean cooking devices.
Yeah, thank you. And Yash, can you tell us where you're next going? Are you developing new products? Are you wanting to expand your production? What's your next 6 months going to consist of?
Yeah, so now we are going to even expand our production. So we are already expanding our production, already that is in the pipeline, and we are introducing some new models and some new technology models, I would like to say. I won't disclose that much, but we are coming out with some other technology models so that people get it much easier to use it now. For what happens is, many people working in IT and everything, they don't have much time. So for them, there will be a different model introduced, so that their time will be saved. They won't need any maid or anything. So
Okay.
it will have all the facility that if you go to your job in the morning, just plug in your electric cooker, put your ingredients in that, close it, put the timer, and you can leave. That is there right now. But the next step is you just switch on the electric cooker, just close it, just put all the ingredients, you go to your office, and before you come to home, your food will be ready in that. So that is the next thing we are working on.
I think what you're talking about are people for whom convenience is the main driver, and they're very busy and they want everything to be done easily. And that is typically true of the kind of more affluent families. So thank you. No, that sounds exciting. I hope it goes well. I'm glad you're getting the investment behind you. It sounds like you're doing well to expand. Vishaka, what would you say your next 6 months looks like?
We have planned some demonstrations in rural areas. So there are around 7 demonstrations that have been planned in rural areas in Maharashtra. And we are looking forward to set up at least 3 cook stove shops in the coming 6 months. Yeah.
Okay, great. And can I ask both of you, just to finally finish, India is a fabulous country with such a great range of different cooking cultures and regions. How are you seeing different regions having different needs? I know it's something that Vimal has been doing a lot of research on, but maybe Yash and Vikasha, Vishaka, just a final comment on, are you targeting regions or are you trying to cover everything? Yash, is your device designed for different cooking cultures?
Yeah, so what we have done is we have come up with mainly what all cooking people do in all different areas for like South India, North India, East India, and Central India. So we have compared the main staple foods, and we have then designed the front PCB panel accordingly so that it caters to everything.
Okay, great. And Vishaka, are you targeting certain regions that you think are more suitable, or are you aiming to go everywhere?
We are not targeting region as in north, south, east, west, but we are looking at urban and rural kind of demographic difference, because in rural areas or remote rural areas, people don't use that is rice mainly. They will be using local varieties of millets to make rotis and their food stuff. And the cooking timings also vary between the rural and the urban areas. So we are trying to design our demonstrations according to the urban food style. So when we are demonstrating in an urban area, the food which we cook on our cooking devices is more inclined towards the urban dishes, like say pav bhaji kind of thing. But when we do it in the rural areas, then the variety of food that which we demonstrate is more suitable towards the rural dishes. So that is how we
Right. Thank you both. That's been amazing. I've really enjoyed this. It's lovely to hear about what you're doing and to hear the developments. So, Vimal, do you want to end this session?
Thank you all. And it has a very good panel and different views we like to have. One focus on the mostly on the service part, which is very important. Like when we met several people, several agencies, they always used to say, especially in the government and bulk procurement, ESL keep asking, the NTPCs keep asking us that how we are going to ensure that these devices are going to work for longer time. So I think Vishaka model is really appreciable. And the Yash has rightly mentioned that the device's life, he is expecting about 5 years or so. So which is when the robustness of the devices, and plus in case something happens, the service model has to be there. So we are happy to hear that our companies are doing good, and then getting recognitions also, getting finances also. So Yash is one of the companies got that. And we are hoping that Vishaka can also succeed, and she's launching very soon a product. And with this, Nick, why not you are announcing that we are going to have this talk series over the period and covering all the aspects of the cooking.
Absolutely, yes. So we're working together on a whole series of these sessions with different areas that we're going to focus on, focusing on the support that we can provide through the MECS program, but also on the policy shifts and the energy and the kind of modelling that we're doing to understand the landscape better. So I hope that those who've joined this one have found it useful. We continue to be interested in your comments and suggestions and questions. I think Vimal's given the email contact, but we would welcome you to future ones and look forward to the community that we're building. Thank you.
Thank you all. It was wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Yash.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.